this what you want? This fucking foliage? Is this what you want? Mr. Dips? Is this what you want? Me standing in front of EC3 buying designer coats? Is this what you want? Me sitting in some hipster hotel in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, fluffing pillows? Is this what you want? I don't believe this. This graffiti art, it's the hotels, avocado toast. All I want is a fucking Guinness. An ice cold Guinness. What the hell does that mean? Oh, this is what you wanted. This is your Monday Night Raw review right here on Off the Script. Oh, man. You know, when the show went off the air, I tweeted Vince McMahon, and I know he is never going to read his Twitter. If he did, I'd probably be blocked. After the show went off the air, I tweeted Vince McMahon, and I said, this was 9 minutes ago, by the way, hey, Vince McMahon, I hope your ratings and your stock sink to company-wide historic lows. What you delivered at the end of Raw was one of the most embarrassing and revolting segments I've ever witnessed. Your removal will be a blessing when it happens. Signed, everyone. Guys, I'm a man of many words. I am a man of many words. I'm a man of many skills and talents. I'm a man who is very opinionated when it comes to what we talk about in the world of world wrestling entertainment. But this one is leaving me speechless, and not for the right reasons. It's leaving me speechless and not for the right reasons. I really don't even know where to begin. I don't. The whole storyline has been bad. The whole storyline has been just a downright embarrassment. It hasn't gotten Rusev over or any more over than he was. We mentioned this on the podcast several times. Rusev, when he teamed with Aiden English, was more over than he has ever been in his entire career. Rusev Day was a thing. Number one selling t-shirt in all of WWE at the time of its printing. Those two guys should have went on to win the tag team championships in the year that they were a team. They did not. WWE split them up because of Lana, and they were no longer a team. And that could be cited going back to, well, Rusev wasn't supposed to be over. It wasn't in their company-wide plan for him to be over. He got over on his own by doing his own thing. It caught fire. They didn't like that. And they buried him. That's exactly what happened. Now we see him in this storyline, which I don't know if it's true or not, but the correlation is eerily similar. This was all supposed to be Mike Kanellis and Maria Kanellis. Don't know where they are. Quite frankly, don't give a shit. But this cuckold storyline shifted from the Kanellises over to the Rusevs. And this is not how we envisioned Rusev back on WWE television. It's as if he was desperate for TV time and took whatever they threw at him just for the sake of getting TV time. We all knew this was going to be bad. We were hoping that it was going to be bad in the sense that it was going to be entertaining, at least in a sense. Bad, terrible, a nightmare, but it would have been vastly entertaining. Almost like a Jerry Springer episode, where it's just so embarrassing and so bad, You can't turn your head away from the TV. You just want to see the carnage unfold. You want to see eyeballs gouged out. You want to see clothes being ripped off, etc., etc. I knew it was going to be bad, but even with all of our assumptions, I didn't expect it to be this bad. WWE has had an absolutely miserable 2019 as far as what they've done creatively. And we all know this. We all know this. I could ask that roster behind closed doors what they think of the creative direction in this company. I guarantee you, at least, and I'm throwing a realistic number out there, I'd say at least 70% of that roster would tell me this creative sucks. This was one of the worst, if not the worst, creative years WWE has ever had. Some of you mentioned 1995. I enjoyed 1995 more so than I did 2019, to be perfectly fair with you guys. I really did. Even with the Bob Sparkplug Hollies and the Barry Horowitzes, the Skips and Dips, the Body Donnas, I enjoyed that more than I enjoyed this year. I really did. And I'm not even lying to you. And I guarantee you didn't hear me or expect to hear me mention the fucking Body Donnas on a Monday Night Raw review. That's how far I go back with this shit. King Mabel. Ridiculous. This was the worst creative year in the history of the company. And I am not surprised. I am not surprised that they ended this year. This was literally the cherry on top of the cake. They knew they had a miserable creative year. They wanted to give you that one final piece to the puzzle. They wanted to give you that one final dessert at the end of dinner. And that was this wedding. Like I said, we expected this to be bad. We wanted it to be entertainingly bad, which it was not. WWE not only ended 2019 with probably the worst segment for the entire year on Monday Night Raw. Not only did they end Monday Night Raw, the last Monday Night Raw of the year, of the decade. Not only did they end the year, they ended the decade with the worst segment of the entire decade. Not only that, that could have very well been the worst segment in the history of Monday Night Raw. And I'm not stuttering. I am not bullshitting you. I am not going out there and being overbearing at all. I'm not fibbing you. I'm not giving you a maybe. I'm looking directly in your fucking eyes. This was one of the worst segments in the decade. And this was, without question, one of the worst segments, if not the worst segment, in the history of Monday Night Raw. I am so speechless. So speechless. From the terrible acting that Lana and Bobby Lashley put forth in this entire segment. The most entertaining thing about this entire segment was the fucking ordained minister that they got for this wedding. I don't know where they got him from. It's probably some loser that they picked up that got his online minister degree to fucking oversee a wedding. They probably scoured Craigslist to find this fucking bum. But at least he made it somewhat entertaining. Just by the way he was delivering his lines. And he had that nice New York accent. Don't even get me started on Liv Morgan. Don't even get me started on Liv Morgan. I put out a tweet, and I know I'm getting people in this thing just shitting on me about Liv Morgan, but if that's the best you got for Liv Morgan, if that is the best you got for Liv Morgan. Now, I'm not a big Liv Morgan fan. I'm not a Liv Morgan advocate. I'm an advocate for women's wrestling. I'm an advocate for getting more characters on this show. – Characters that we can invest in. Characters that we want to see. You brought this woman out 6 months ago and said that she'll be back under a new character change. We did not anticipate or expect or want or desire Liv Morgan to interrupt possibly the worst segment in the history of this show and come out and profess to everybody that she's a lesbian. I didn't ask for that. I just got done with a near 3-hour podcast, and I went over many of the things I didn't ask about or I didn't ask for. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wanted it. Certainly nobody anticipated it. I guess there's one little glimmer of positivity there. But who asked for this? Who asked for Liv Morgan to be a part of this wedding and showcase herself as a lesbian? I tweeted, Liv Morgan's new character is a lesbian. This company should have its stock hit 0 tomorrow. 20 minutes ago. 800 likes. I'm not the only one who feels that way. Clearly 800 fucking people. 801. 802. It keeps going up. Clearly I'm not the only one who thinks this way. My brother tweets, this was historically bad. I can hear Vince now. This is such good shit. They wasted her return. Yeah, I'll take the Dark Order beating up the Elite over this story any day of the week. This was a horrible, horrible segment. This shows the fans, if you thought WWE was bad in 2019, then 2020 is going to be horrendous. The fans were silent in Hartford, Connecticut. Do I need to say more? I don't even know where we go from here. I really don't. Quite honestly, I don't even want to review this show. I was going to give this show a thumbs up, and I actually did through the first hour. The opening segment was entertaining enough with the return of Samoa Joe and him being Samoa Joe. AOP and Rollins come out. Still, we don't know what the fuck their reason for being a group is. But it was entertaining enough to a point where I was like, okay, Raw is off to a semi-good start. Then we got Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black going nearly 20 minutes on Monday Night Raw. Rightfully so, deservedly so. And I'm like, wow, this first hour is really doing Raw a good job tonight. And then after that, the show fell off a fucking cliff, and it never looked up from there. Never looked up from there. Guys, you know, I might be hard. I might be hard on the company. And I get a lot of people every single week. Oh, if this was NXT. Oh, if this was AEW, he wouldn't say a word. He wouldn't be complaining at all. He's an NXT fanboy. He's an AEW mark, etc., etc. I wouldn't be seeing this type of shit in NXT. I wouldn't be seeing this type of shit in AEW. And if I did, I'd blast them just the same way I'm blasting Raw and SmackDown. And I've been hard on AEW. When NXT does something that I don't agree with, I'm hard on them too. But if this is what you want out of your pro wrestling in 2020, there's something fucking mentally wrong with you. I don't know how anyone could look at this and be proud that you're watching this shit, that you're a fan of this shit, wearing their merchandise, going to these shows. This wasn't even fucking entertaining. I legitimately have people that I know in my personal life knowing that I watch this shit every single week, doing this show every single day. And here I am feeling embarrassed. They lowered my self-esteem tonight. I have to fucking walk out and face the general public knowing that I'm a WWE podcaster. I watch World Wrestling Entertainment on a weekly basis, and this is what they produce for a global audience. How are you not ashamed? How could you ever look at these fucking people and give them your money? How could you ever willingly go and buy a fucking ticket to go watch these people live? How could you not have anything bad to say about this shit? Am I the only one? Is what I do every single week just completely different? Am I out there? Am I living on a planet all to myself? How could you look at this and say anything remotely positive? $2020. I said it. I said it at the end of Friday's show. If 2019 was any indication about how WWE takes to their fans, if 2019 was any indication on how WWE thinks of their audience, I guarantee you, I'm Nostradamus in this motherfucker. 2020 may be worse than 2019. And clearly this is not over. This is not over. Because where do we go into next week's show, which is the first show of 2020? We're going to have this continue on into the new year. That's not a good start, if you ask me. It's not really what I want from a company that needs to hit a reset button harder than they've ever hit a fucking reset button. You know, I'd love to know that there's one creative fucking individual in this company that knows how to run a goddamn fucking wrestling promotion, that knows how to put on a goddamn fucking show, instead of sitting around in his fucking boxers during Christmas holiday, fucking gaining influence and watching Jerry Springer and getting influence for Monday Night Raw. It's unbelievable how NXT... It's unbelievable to me how NXT is operating under a WWE banner. I want to sit here and tell you that I don't believe it. There's no fucking way that those people running that show could ever be employed by WWE. This entire company has bred sick, twisted fucking individuals that don't give a fuck about anybody. Meanwhile, NXT is delivering a fucking show that, A, is probably the best show in all of North America, that should be getting the ratings that Raw is getting, and it's not. That's what I want out of a pro wrestling show. Serious, competitive character development, where the fans watch and they become invested. Not where the fans watch and are silent. I don't know, guys. It's very difficult to be a WWE fan. It really is. It really is difficult to be a WWE fan. I feel gutted after watching Raw. I really do. I don't know how anybody could do what I do. You don't even have to do what I do. You don't even have to do what I do. You could sit there and watch as a fan. You could tweet every single week like I do. Every single week, and tweet like I do. Watching these shows. There is absolutely no way anyone could justify what happened on this show in the last 30 minutes. And I don't want to hear these analysts and these elitists and these apologists. Oh, here he is comparing Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to NXT. It's two different audiences. NXT has a niche audience. Really? Really now? The same niche audience that you're shoving down our throats for 4 or 5 weeks during Survivor Series build, all in hopes to build them up to a point where they are Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live? As far as ratings go, so that you could beat All Elite Wrestling every Wednesday? Oh, that same niche audience, right? I don't know how you could subject your fan base to what NXT is doing and then turn around and deliver this excruciatingly fucking terrible nightmare garbage fucking show. That same niche audience. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. That's not the way Monday Night Raw and SmackDown should be operating. I come to watch competitive one-on-one. I watch competitive tag team. I watch competitive women go at it every single week. Where is that on this show? Where is that on this show? You know, by doing what you did tonight takes away from everything else on that show. You put that shit on in the main event. You know what that does to Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black? Nobody's talking about Buddy Murphy and fucking Aleister Black now after this shit. You purposely took all of the attention away from two guys who deserve all the attention that they could possibly get on this show, on this roster, and you wiped it all away by putting on something so bad that it's going to have people talking for the remainder of this show being on the air. When everybody looks back at some year-end fucking special and talks about Monday Night Raw years from now, they will always go back to this. They will always look back at, remember the Lana and Bobby Lashley wedding? Nobody's going to remember Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy on this show. Nobody's going to remember Becky Lynch and Asuka. Absolutely embarrassed. I'm embarrassed to be a fucking fan. I hope Vince McMahon is removed. I swear on my fucking grandfather's tomb, when Vince McMahon is removed, from his current position in WWE, I will drive to Stamford, Connecticut. I will drive to Titan Tower, and I will gather whomever wants to join me, and I will stand and picket outside of Titan Tower and rejoice of that man's removal. No matter what happens to him, removed, if he dies, whatever. As long as he's gone. He's an absolute fucking threat to all things WWE. Because this creative team has done nothing but try to appease his sick and twisted fucking demented humor. And this is the shit that we are being subjected to every single week. That will be the greatest day in the life of a fan of pro wrestling when Vince is removed. What is my tweet at now? And you know what? I'm not just blaming Vince McMahon. I'm blaming Paul Heyman as well. Paul Heyman is equally to blame for all this shit. He should be fucking ashamed of himself. How you could wake up every fucking morning and go and associate yourself with this fucking garbage of a program that makes you just as low as Vince McMahon. Paul Heyman is such a brilliant man. Paul Heyman is such a fucking visionary when it comes to creative. If that is a visionary's mindset, Paul Heyman should be axed quicker than fucking Eric Bischoff. Where's my tweet at now? What are we looking at? Ridiculous, man. 1,000 likes. 1,000 likes. That's just in about 20 minutes. I really don't even want to review this show. I'm going to have to. Because there was other things on this show. There was some things that I actually liked on this show. This show overall was one of the worst episodes of the entire year. And you can blame that last segment. You can blame that last 30 minutes of Raw for making this one of the worst episodes of the entire year. By the way, if you guys noticed that I sound a little bit different tonight, new microphone, new setup, got the Rodecaster Pro, I got my Shure microphone, we're good to go. Amping up the podcast for 2020 because clearly there'll be plenty of me to bitch and complain about, and I gotta do it while sounding good. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That is on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure, like I said, hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to check out all the other content that I've uploaded on the channel, go and check everything out that you need down below. We've got another video coming tomorrow afternoon. That's Off the Script Elite, your number one place for AEW news and rumors, right here on the podcast. Make sure you guys support the Patreon page, patreon.com/JD from NY206. And the podcast tonight is brought to you by Audible. Audible is giving you 30 days free of their service and one free audiobook of your choice when you use our unique link. That is audibletrial.com/offthescript. It's a great way to support the show. It's a great way to support Audible, and you guys get something for free for listening to me bitch about Monday Night Raw. That's audibletrial.com/offthescript. Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw started with Kevin Owens marching to the ring. We seen Jerry Lawler and Vic Joseph. It was only a two-man booth tonight. There were rumors from Dave Meltzer that, I guess, did not go into effect yet. He said that there'll be a new addition to the commentary team on this particular episode of Monday Night Raw. We didn't get a new commentary member on this show, so I'm assuming Dave Meltzer was wrong. So we got Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler, a two-man booth. Samoa Joe, they talked about Samoa Joe getting attacked at the end of Monday Night Raw last week. And they started the show off with Kevin Owens. He threw us to a clip of Seth Rollins and AOP attacking him, then beating up Rey Mysterio and dragging him to the ramp, followed by the Samoa Joe clip that I told you about, where they slammed Samoa Joe through the commentary table the week before. Kevin Owens said that they sent him to the hospital twice this month, said he's going to keep calling them out every single week and getting the hell beaten out of him, but sooner or later he's taking one of you idiots, well, he says he's going to take one of you idiots with me, is what he says. He said where he has a problem is where the consequences of their actions impact people in the locker room he respects and looks up to, such as Rey Mysterio. He said there's not a whole bunch of people in the industry he respects as much as Rey Mysterio, and it made him sick to watch the three of them gang up on a legend like Rey. He said the worst part is that Seth and AOP's actions last week are why Rey lost the United States title to Andrade at Madison Square Garden this past weekend. I actually do appreciate that they actually put that in the script and gave you a reason as to why Andrade had the step-up advantage on Rey Mysterio, and it's all because of what AOP and Seth Rollins did. So I like that they're tying these two storylines with Rey Mysterio into each other. You don't see that all that often, let alone on Monday Night Raw or in the WWE, so I appreciate it here. So they went and showed clips of Rey losing the United States Championship at Madison Square Garden. A year too late for Andrade is my opinion on that, but what's done is done. So Lawler claimed he saw every minute of that match, and it was obvious Rey was not 100% because of the injury he suffered at Raw last week. So KO said he had enough of the tape of the tape study, and out came Seth and AOP. Seth was wearing a glove on his right hand. A lot of people were making fun on social media. Oh, he's taking Michael Jackson dance classes. He is, I guess, I don't know, mimicking The Undertaker or Bray Wyatt, whatever people were saying on social media. Rollins still has a finger injury. So I'm assuming if the glove has something to do with his recuperation process as far as his finger injury goes. Either way, I like it. It fits him. He used to wear a glove back in the old Shield days, which really doesn't help his cause here because these guys are just nothing more than a recycled version of a half-assed Shield. But Rollins has been playing this heel character okay for the time that we've seen them together. And the glove, it's a nice little added touch, but I'm going to go on and to assume that it's due to his finger injury. So Seth says KO is failing to see the big picture. No, Seth, no champ. I'm failing to see the big picture. I still don't know why you guys are even together. I don't understand why you guys are forming a group together. There's no end goal in sight. There's no objective to you guys being together. And like I said the last couple of weeks, all I see is a half-ass version of The Shield with Akam and Razor filling the roles of Reigns and Ambrose. That's all we see. That you have to be together now because you need to bring what is right back to these certain situations, which is just another term for the stupid idiots out there. As The Shield used to say, they were there and they showed up to bring justice to the WWE. This is the simple idiot's almanac of the Shield. That's all it is. So Seth said Kevin Owens is failing to see the big picture. He said this isn't something he's chosen, but rather it's been forced on him by people like him who think they know best. Seth, I've been doing this for 5 years. I've watched this product longer than you've been a fucking pro wrestler. I know what is best. Believe me. He said it's his sacrifice for the greatest good. Again, just a idiot's almanac version of what the Shield used to say, bringing justice to the WWE. Says he's being a leader and a messiah to take this industry into the next decade. Well, by the way that the show ended, I'm not sure if you want to be a part of the company in the fucking next decade. Said KO left him with no choice but to impose his will, and if he resists, AOP will enforce his will. So they approached the ring. Kevin Owens dove at them at ringside. AOP beat him down. Seth asked when he was going to learn. They beat up Kevin Owens in the corner, and it was a 2-on-1 attack. So then we get Samoa Joe coming out and saving the day. Charged into the ring, went after Seth with some jabs, went for a couple of headbutts, went for the coquina clutch. AOP then re-entered the ring, started to attack Joe and focused their attack on Samoa Joe. Fans started booing. Kevin Owens re-entered with a chair and smashed Akam and Razor over the back with a steel chair. Seth was in the corner, and he was getting punched by Kevin Owens in the corner. AOP was still on Joe. Security ran into the ring. It seemed like 8 or 9 of them. And they started to pull everybody apart. So at the end of this thing, security succeeded in separating everybody. They were all on the outside. Kevin Owens broke free while they detained everybody in this group. Kevin Owens went up top and hit a senton on top of everybody, in which CM Punk actually tweeted out, the one thing I want to have happen in 2020 is for these terrible spots where everybody's standing around just waiting for a fucking dive to happen to end. That's what CM Punk said on Twitter tonight during this segment, which I'm sure he'll talk about if he is on WWE Backstage, which I don't think is going to happen this coming Tuesday, but I do think that he'll be back on the first show for 2020. So this is the way everything went off. Big brawl. Kevin Owens jumped off with a senton. It was a mild attack. It really wasn't anything all that intense. It just played off the fact of Samoa Joe being beat up last week, so he wanted to get his shots in after AOP and Seth Rollins kind of fucked him up last week. That's all it was. This was an introductory phase to get Samoa Joe into the storyline. Nothing more, nothing less. So we had, at the end of this thing, we had Charlie Caruso go into the locker room and speak with Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. Charlie Caruso walked up to them, said security is on their way because both of them will be escorted out of the building. She asked Joe why he got involved in such a sticky situation. Joe said it wasn't his choice, it was Seth's choice to never be safe again. He said Seth made the choice to make sure Owens will never stand alone again. Kevin Owens then said he's known Samoa Joe for a very long time, and he's known a lot of bad people, but he's never known anyone as bad as Joe, and he meant that in a good way. He said, as long as he's known him, he's known a lot of bad people, nobody as bad as Joe. Said after everything he's done in this company, he never imagined anyone would be by his side for this fight, but if anyone is going to be there, he said he's glad it's Samoa Joe. Owens said security is on their way to send them out of the arena, and he asked Joe if they accomplished their goal for this week. Joe said, yeah, we accomplished our goal for this week. Kevin Owens then said, we got another 7 days to think about what we're going to do next week. And Samoa Joe said, yeah, we got another 7 days to come up with a different plan. Because right now they're being escorted out of the building. And Joe, so happy that Joe is back, he told the security guards that if any of you touch me, none of you will have feeling in your fingers after tonight. And then he wiped his brow and just flipped sweat onto the security guards. Legitimately wiped his head and flipped the sweat from his forehead onto the one security guard that was standing right next to him. Gotta love Samoa Joe. This was a great segment here with these two. I could definitely see them working very well together. The one thing I do hope WWE keeps intact is that Samoa Joe does not turn into this cheesy babyface that we normally see on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown on Fox. Samoa Joe needs to be that guy who's intense, rough, tough, and a badass. He always acts the same, no matter what. No matter if he's a babyface or a heel, Joe remains the same character. We love him when he's bad. We love him when he's good. But he never strays from that path of character he knows he has to play. And that is a fucking ruthless, legitimate badass. If WWE starts deviating away from that, Samoa Joe's not going to feel the same. And I wonder, this is another thing I'm wondering about. Samoa Joe can give you all the explanations that he wants. But Samoa Joe usually is the type of guy that doesn't involve himself in a situation unless there's something that he wants to get out of it. Now, is all that he wants just Seth Rollins and AOP? Is he simply asking for revenge? Or does he want something more? Samoa Joe usually goes about doing things on his own. He's not one to team up with somebody like a Kevin Owens. In this case, another babyface. In this case, probably the most over babyface on the show. So we'll see what happens with that. But it was a great segment with Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe and a decent brawl to start Monday Night Raw. Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. This was fucking awesome. It went nearly 20 minutes. Their match at TLC. They kept hyping that it was the match of the night. The rematch everybody wanted to see. They blew this TLC match that they had out of the water with this match tonight. This was fucking awesome. I don't understand. These guys were tweeting. They were number 5 trending in the United States. Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. That's how great they are. They got a standing ovation in this match in Hartford, Connecticut. That's great. We should see more of that. Crowd is still a little tepid and a little lukewarm when it comes to Buddy Murphy and Aleister Black, but hopefully this is a start. And I've said it countless times. You put these guys in the ring and you allow them to go and you allow them to tell a great story, and especially with two guys that are this good, there's no way that they're not going to get over. There's no way they're not going to get over. Now, I don't want to go out there and be like everybody else and say, I could watch these guys on a weekly basis every single week or one-on-one. I don't want to see that. I do not want to see that. I want to see these guys move on to something else. I want to see them both succeed. And this is a start. Because even in defeat here, Buddy Murphy looked great. Everybody's like, Buddy Murphy needed the win. Aleister Black should have lost this thing. I'm surprised Aleister Black won this. It should have went to Buddy Murphy. So what? They went 17 minutes, and Buddy Murphy got a standing ovation in a match that he was a part of with Aleister Black. What more do you want for Buddy Murphy? A loss, in this case, normally, I would be the first person to complain about that. I'm not. Because you know why? Aleister Black needed to win more than Buddy Murphy. They're clearly pushing him more than Buddy Murphy. I hope that this means more TV time for Buddy Murphy. I hope this means a push for Buddy Murphy. But I'm not going to sit here and complain. Because you know what? Normally, WWE would go with a 50-50 booking. Normally, they look at Aleister Black winning at TLC and decide to give Buddy Murphy the win here and go split just to get another rematch. You know what this ensures? A, Aleister Black has momentum, and B, we're not going to see it again. We're not going to see it again because we don't need to see it again. Buddy Murphy clearly has accomplished one thing here, that he can't beat Aleister Black. He was ready for a fight, but the fight was too big for Buddy Murphy. Simple. Now they move on to something else. And you know what else I want WWE to do in 2020 that I'm sure will go unheard? That they won't listen to? Look at these two guys. Look at the amount of talent you have just in these two guys, Black and Murphy. You mean to tell me with what these two guys did tonight and what these two guys did at TLC that you can't formulate and come up with and book and produce a mid-card on Monday Night Raw? You can't give me a Monday Night Raw where these two guys are the star of the show, not only making matches like this every single week feel important, but build momentum for somebody, which leads them to a title match, which in turn makes the title seem all that much more important. There's no reason why your mid-card on this show should be as weak as it is right now. It starts with these two. Get these guys to a point where they need to be, and get that mid-card to a point where it needs to be, and everything else will fall into place. There is a spot for shit on. There's a spot for shit like this on this show. And I want to see more of what I've seen in this match, not only from these two, but from everybody else. This match was how Monday Night Raw and the essence of Monday Night Raw should be. And I know I'm speaking to a brick wall, and I know that will never happen. Aleister Black wins with a black mass. Fucking awesome. There's one thing you need to go back and watch from this show. It's what these two guys did. Absolutely awesome. I can't even put into words what they did because I will do it no justice. Near 20 minutes, these guys gave you a great showcase in what should realistically be the future of Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins was backstage, and Seth asked AOP to explain to him what's going on because they were speaking in their native tongue. Akam and Razor said they've got his back from all sides. Seth said management has politely asked them to leave the building. He couldn't believe WWE wanted to close out the year with him. Let them try, he said. This show will be canceled by the end of the next match. In walked security, and they ushered out Seth Rollins and AOP. Seth says that they were leaving voluntarily. Seth smiled and said, don't worry, we are on our way out. And that was pretty much it. He smiled, he smirked, he had that evil heel-like look on him, and he walked away with AOP. So that was pretty much it. Rollins has been playing a good heel. Rollins has been playing a good heel in the weeks that we've seen this heel turn, just, I guess, overtake him and the new role that he's been given. He's been playing it very well. And I've been very hard on Seth Rollins, and I do think he plays a better heel than anything else. All I want from Seth Rollins is an explanation. I want a goal. I want an objective on this show, and I don't want anybody to tell me, oh, well, they're feuding with Rey Mysterio and Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. No, that's not an objective. There's an end goal in mind if you're pairing yourself with AOP. There's an end goal. There's an objective here. Why are you assembling a group around you? For what? Seth is a great heel when he wants to be a great heel. And I want him to kind of lean towards more. I don't mind what he's doing now. All I want is an explanation. But I want Seth Rollins to be that sniveling, snarky, sarcastic, narcissistic prick that we seen in his first heel run. Just bring out a little bit of that, and you got me. And I'm hitting my microphone because I'm fucking waving my hands all over the place. But that's what I want to see with Seth Rollins. Lana. We've seen clips of Lana backstage throughout the evening. She was getting ready for the wedding. In one moment, Eric Rowan walked up to her and said, it's a big day, but he didn't get an invitation. He asked if it was an oversight or if she doesn't like him. He picked up his cage and said, you know what? I don't care either way. And that was it. Lana just looked on very disturbed at Eric Rowan. Eric Rowan versus Kip. This was pretty much his name. There was no last name here for Kip. Kip looked like a fucking barback at TGI Fridays. I don't know where they get these guys. I'll be very curious to know where they get these guys. He looked like a fucking barback running potato skins over at TGI Fridays. This one went 2 minutes because he went underneath the ring like everybody else does in a match with Rowan. Wanted to see what was in the cage. He stopped scared in the cage or at the cage. Rowan got him in the ring, beat the shit out of him, claw slam. That was it. That was it. I want to be interested in what Eric Rowan is doing, but I just can't bring myself to fucking care. I really can't. What's in the mat? What's in the cage? What's going to be in the cage? For all we know, it'll probably be his old mask. I don't think WWE, and I said this last week, I don't think WWE has any fucking idea what is in the cage. I guarantee you he's carrying around nothing in the cage because WWE doesn't know what they want to be in the cage. This is something that they'll just book along the way. And when they come up with a good idea, that's when we'll see it. But right now, nothing is in the cage that is being carried around by Eric Rowan. Charlotte came out, and she comes out. She was there to announce that she will be the first woman in the WWE to announce entry into the Women's Royal Rumble match. Great. Like, we didn't know that was going to happen. She said she knew, all the fans knew she would be in the Rumble match. She said fans didn't want her to come out and state the obvious, but she did it anyway. She talked up her resume, 10-time women's champion, headline WrestleMania, blah, 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 blah. Hardworking, consistent, and arguably the greatest of all time. She said she will be the first woman of the decade to announce her entry into the Royal Rumble women's match, even though it's still 2019. So there you go. Another oversight there by the Android. I don't think that particular statistic was downloaded into her fucking database. She said she's actually the first male or female in 2019 to announce her entry into a specific Royal Rumble match. She said she's also tired of saying she's the queen of WWE. I'm tired of seeing the queen of the WWE. Or better yet, I'm really tired of hearing the queen complain that she's not being booked better on Monday Night Raw. Meanwhile, the entire division needs to be booked better, and then in turn, you'll be booked better. What a concept. So, she said she'd rather show them why she's the queen. She said she has her favorite robe, her boots are laced. She invited someone to come out and face her. Actually, who wants to come out here and bow down to the queen? Natalya comes out to the stage, and then I fall asleep on command. Why am I always watching this show and getting a repeat of something we've seen 1,000 times before? I mean, who could possibly give a shit about Natalya and Charlotte Flair on Monday Night Raw? And please, I'm going to throw something at you that I think WWE either A, forgot, or B, just foolishly wanted the fans to forget. Even though it did happen just a month and a half ago. Didn't Charlotte and Natalya earn the right to get a women's tag team title match against the Kabuki Warriors? Something that Natalya didn't really participate in because she had a personal emergency while WWE was overseas when they were touring Europe. And WWE gave that to Becky Lynch. And they had Charlotte and Becky Lynch team up against the Kabuki Warriors for Natty's tag team title shot. Isn't Natty in the boat of demanding a tag team title match? This was Natty's tag team partner a month and a half ago. And now here they are in a match on Monday Night Raw that nobody legitimately gives a shit about. This one went 14 minutes. 14 minutes too long. I can't even tell you what happened in this match because when Natalya comes out, I struggle to keep my eyes open. In fact, I swear on everyone listening to me, I walked away and I went to go do the dishes that I dirtied during dinner tonight. Now again, Natalya might be the sweetest fucking woman in the entire company, but when she comes out, I swear to God, man, it's a cure for insomnia. Fuck the sleeping pills. Just put on a Natalya match. Instant. You'll be in bed before you know it. Or be sleeping before you know it. Charlotte wins. Figure 8. Who gives a shit? Really? Who gives a shit? Charlotte's going into the Royal Rumble, and I want to see her cry when she doesn't win the Royal Rumble. Shayna Baszler? And if not Shayna Baszler, if Ronda's in the Rumble, Ronda. And And then Charlotte will get the scraps that Becky Lynch isn't going to get at WrestleMania. But I don't know if you'd call Shayna or Ronda scraps, but all we know is that Becky's going to be in a higher profile match than Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. And that's got to irk the queen. Good. You've seen the spotlight and the top spot for too long. And even after Becky loses, I don't think Charlotte should be positioned anywhere near the top for a very long time. It's time for others to get an opportunity. How that's going to happen with this depleted women's roster, I don't know. Hopefully we see better things. I was going to say hopefully we expect. I don't expect anything but failure from this company. Hopefully we see some sort of direction for the women in 2020. Charlie Caruso, right after the match, interviewed Becky Lynch. She said last week Asuka agreed to face her for the title, but no date was announced. She asked if Lynch knew the date. Lynch revealed that it will be at the Royal Rumble, 1 year to this very Royal Rumble coming up. Asuka made Becky Lynch tap out, and now we're getting the rematch. So Paul Heyman does have an idea that's actually good. He wanted to tie up loose ends. This is a Paul Heyman idea. Good on him. He's got one idea that actually is a thumbs-up idea. So Lynch said her contract is coming up, and she insisted on this match before she'd sign any contract or even start negotiating. She said she cannot forget about Asuka beating her. She said money. Yeah, it's amazing how now Becky Lynch is now remembering what Asuka did. What happened after WrestleMania? What happened in April? What happened in May? What happened in June? What happened in July? What happened in August? What happened in September? How about October? What about November? So now that we're in December, now 11 months, 12 months removed from the Royal Rumble in 2019, now you can't sleep? Now you can't sign contracts because you're thinking about Asuka? Why weren't you thinking about Asuka when you were in that terrible feud with Lacey Evans? What about Asuka then? She wasn't doing much of anything. Could have easily went to management and said, I want my revenge on Asuka. But you didn't. You got Lacey fucking Evans. She said she cannot forget about Asuka beating her. She said money and status can't erase that loss and what it means. And Becky said history, history needed to know if a woman could be the face of the brand. And she proved it could be, barely. I don't think Becky is the face of the brand at all. I don't think Becky is the face of this company, period. And if you do think that, you're a fool. She said she's learned that when you're the golden goose. Now, listen, if you're the golden goose, then that means you're selling out arenas everywhere you go. And I don't think Becky Lynch is doing that. If you were the golden goose, then the women's division would be the most talked about division in all of WWE. I don't think they're even close to being the most talked about division in all of WWE. Just saying, Lynch. Just saying. If you're the golden goose, you also get the golden handcuffs. She said she's going to clear her record even if it kills her. Now, I know Meltzer had reported, or it might have been Sean Ross Sapp, or one of those guys. It was a credible source in the community that said Becky Lynch had just signed a new extension with the WWE. She got a very handsome deal. So for someone like me to think about this and listen to this, I'm one of those smart fans that keeps up on everything, dirt sheets and everything. So I know that Becky Lynch is under contract for a very long time with the WWE. So I'm not really factoring this into that. I'm not. I'm trying to just look at it from a storyline perspective. I like the fact that they're bringing a little bit of realism into this. I like the fact that they're bringing a potential contract negotiation into this thing because management wouldn't give Becky Lynch what she wanted. So her contract is coming up, and she knows this, and she doesn't want to negotiate at all until management gives her what she wants, and that's a match with Asuka. And it will be for the Raw Women's Championship. So she ultimately has the title to lose. And WWE, by doing this match and giving Becky Lynch what she wants, and all for the sake of sitting down and negotiating a contract with her, they could lose Becky Lynch, and they could have Becky Lynch get hurt in a situation that they didn't want to put her in to begin with. So they could lose more than what Becky Lynch is going to lose here. So I like that situation. I really do. A little dose of realism, even though it's not really realism. A little dose of realism in this thing. Throw it into the feud. Make it that much more personal. Make it that much more as far as fans could be invested in it. And I like it. It makes sense. It's logical. Because Becky Lynch wants to tie up loose ends. Management wouldn't give her Asuka. Contract's up. I'm not talking to you until you give me Asuka. Then I'll sign your contract. I like it. I like it. It makes sense. I'm looking very much forward to their match at the Royal Rumble. OC walked out. AJ Styles was with them. He said if there are any doubters out there that Raw is the OC show, here it is. They showed a clip 2 weeks ago when the OC beat the Viking Raiders. Then they showed last week's six-man tag with Orton and Styles involved. Styles getting the win with a phenomenal forearm. Anderson said everyone said the Viking Raiders were unbeatable. Even stupid people like fans here in Hartford, Connecticut. So the Street Profits came out and interrupted. Montez Ford bragged that they've beaten Anderson and Gallows more than once, yet Gallows and Anderson stand there and call themselves the best tag team in the world, and they have a trophy to prove it. Ford says that means that they're the best, being that they beat the OC. Styles interrupted and said it only proves that they were lucky. Styles then said that they should stick to their cute little skits backstage or else you guys are going to get hurt. Dawkins says he feel threatened, but it's coming from a threesome of men named after a teen soap opera. It's about time that joke found its way to television, and here it is. So Montez Ford was singing the theme song to the OC. Gallows interrupted and said, listen, this is not a high school musical. It's Monday Night Raw. Get in the ring so that we can kick your asses. And then Ford said, all right, we're going to get in the ring and we're going to get this smoke. 12 minutes, Street Profits win this overly boring tag team match, which, again, I was surprised that they won this thing. These Street Profits, remember a day and age or a time long ago? Actually, it's not that long ago. When the Street Profits were actually cool. They were so cool on NXT, man. They were so good on NXT. They came out, they cut this promo. It looked like they struggled to get anyone's attention in Hartford, Connecticut. The match itself with the OC was not overly exciting whatsoever. In fact, I'm surprised they actually got the win over the OC here. It's 50-50 booking. That's all it is with the Street Profits. That's the name of the game for the Street Profits on this show. 50-50 booking. They do an open challenge with the Viking Raiders. They lose. They come out and they beat the OC this week and now stake claim at a tag team title opportunity because they beat the team that beat the Viking Raiders. So that's how it works. So now we got a triple threat match next week. We got the OC, the Viking Raiders, and the Street Profits, which, by the way, are the only three teams on Monday Night Raw in the tag team division. And we're getting a triple threat match next week. Do the OC win the titles back? I don't know. At this point, I don't even care. The Street Profits and the OC went 12 minutes. Montez Ford with a big top rope frog splash for a 3 count, and that was pretty much it. AJ Styles, you're asking, well, why did AJ Styles not interfere in this thing? AJ Styles got kicked out of the ringside area. He was sent to the back, which prompted the OC to lose clean to the Street Profits. Backstage after the match, the Street Profits reacted to their victory. Ford asked if beating the best tag team in the world makes them the best tag team in the universe. Angelo Dawkins then said it actually makes them bigger than the multiverse. And Montez Ford asked him what the multiverse was. Listening to Angelo Dawkins talk about and describe the multiverse to Montez Ford was one of the most cringe-like promos I think I've ever seen in 2019 on this show. Just looking at Angelo Dawkins, trying to remember his lines from this promo was absolutely downright embarrassing. He stopped, He started to think about what he needed to say. It was so fucking confusing. I don't even know if he made any sense. You're talking about something that nobody legitimately gives a fuck about. You're asking this guy to go out there and be a fucking downright science teacher in describing what the goddamn multiverse is. Meanwhile, he struggled to even remember what the multiverse was in this promo so that he could deliver it in a proper way, in a believable way. You're asking this guy to be a fucking scientist. Meanwhile, he's part of a team called the Street Profits. And they're supposed to be cool. They're supposed to be party guys. They're supposed to let loose. I don't know if he's trying to be Bill Nye or if he's trying to be a guy who wants the girls, wants to smoke, and wants a couple of cold beverages. Which is it? Because this was awful. The Street Profits are not cool on Monday Night Raw. They once were in NXT, but on Monday Night Raw, like everything else, when you hit Monday Night Raw, you die 1,000 deaths. That's the name of the game when you go to the red brand. Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins versus Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre wins in 1 minute. 1 minute. He gave a Claymore kick to Hawkins and then a Future Shock DDT to Zack Ryder, and that was it. That was it. By the way, I'm not sure if you guys realize, but Zack Ryder and Curt Hawkins are former Monday Night Raw Tag Team Champions. They beat the Revival for the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Champions. You wouldn't know it here. You wouldn't know it here. But I guess Drew McIntyre needs to look good on his way to ascending the heights for the 4th fucking time on Monday Night Raw. Stop and start pushes for Drew McIntyre. Is this going to be the one that takes him to the top of the mountain? I look at Zack Ryder and I feel legitimately sad for Zack Ryder. The greatest thing that ever happened to Zack Ryder in this company was the fact that he met Chelsea Green. Simple. That's it. I don't even know if he met Chelsea Green while she was employed by WWE. They probably met away from the WWE, but regardless, that's Zack Ryder's greatest professional accomplishment, getting engaged to Chelsea Green. Randy Orton came out. He was on crutches. He was playing up this injury that was reported earlier in the day. And I read it this morning. The first thing I read this morning when I woke up, because I heard about it last night, Randy Orton injured. Everybody in the community clickbaited the fuck out of it. Randy Orton, career-threatening injury, serious injury. I wake up this morning, have my coffee, look at my notes. Randy Orton's injury, 100% a complete work. Okay, great. I appreciate a good work. I appreciate somebody going to the lengths that Randy Orton did to sell an injury. Because it was the same injury that bothered him in the match last week against AJ Styles. It was something that cost him the match in the 6-man match against AJ Styles and the OC. So I appreciate that. And he played the fans like a fucking fiddle because everybody fell for it. I didn't because I read it. So I knew when he came out, this was all a fucking complete act. It was 100% worked. He walked out on crutches. He had help into the ring. Orton says this isn't ballet. Injuries can happen anytime. He said everyone in the back knows that every time they step in the ring, anything can happen. He said it kills him that he needed to help. Or he needed help to get into the ring in front of all of them. He said he's seen champions that have surrendered their titles because of injuries. He said he doesn't respect many people, but Edge, is that tease? Edge had to surrender his entire career because of an injury. He said nobody wants to see that happen. Now, I put it out there on Off the Script this past weekend and the weekend before that when talking about Edge and his possible return. They mentioned Edge, not because I think it's a tease for WrestleMania, even though I would not be surprised if it is. It could be. I hope it is, because Randy Orton was one of the guys that I actually pitched in my fantasy booking of Edge. If he does come back to the Royal Rumble, Edge and Randy Orton would be a great WrestleMania match, or Rated RKO coming back and going against the OC, something that I also pitched. It could happen. I don't think it was more of Randy Orton mentioning Edge here because it's a possible WrestleMania moment that they're dropping a tease for. But this was the same venue in which Edge retired. And he just wanted to use Edge in this situation because it was the same arena in which Edge retired in 2011. And he wanted to build sympathy because everybody loves Edge. He wanted to build sympathy for his story and his angle. So that's why I think he did it. I don't think it was for any other reason, but it's a similar situation, and Edge retired in that building. Said he's rambling. He said last night he really screwed up his leg and something popped in his knee when he landed. Said he didn't know how bad it was until this morning. Said doctors informed him after looking at the MRI that he'll be out for a very long time. Said it will be a long time, but there's a chance he won't be able to come back. That's how bad it is. So he said no matter what happens, he's going to do his best to be sure somebody gets RKO'd at WrestleMania, and he made that promise to everybody. Styles then interrupted, and he called for a timeout. He asked if he's saying the next time he gets to fight Randy Orton won't be until WrestleMania at the earliest. Styles then entered the ring. He said that's the time and the place. Randy is just standing there listening to him, looking all mad. He asked what he plans to do. Is the Viper going to strike? I don't think so. So he was teasing Randy Orton. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. He started to troll Randy Orton. Then Randy Orton asked if Styles was done. Styles says he's not. He said he's going to give the people what they want. He said he's going to put his arms out behind his back and let the Viper strike. He struck with his chin out, put his chin out for Randy to hit him. And Randy didn't do anything. My God, Randy, you're really hurt, aren't you? Good thing for you, I'm a patient man. He said he'll wait till WrestleMania to take that leg of his and put it in the calf crusher. Not only make him tap out, but retire him. See you at WrestleMania. Now, I hope this isn't a tease for these two at WrestleMania because I'm kind of over these two. So then he kicked out one of the crutches that Randy Orton was holding up to keep himself up. He knocked one of the crutches out of Randy Orton's hand. Fans are chanting, AJ sucks. Orton told Styles that the difference between the two of them is that he's patient and he's not. Then Orton miraculously was cured right then and there and gave AJ Styles the RKO. Stomped his leg on the mat, showed everybody that it was nothing more than a troll. He faked an injury, and he's not really hurt. It's a ruse. Randy Orton just suckered AJ Styles big time, is what Vic Joseph said. I don't know if you guys enjoyed this or not. I'm going to be in the boat. Listen, before I even say anything about what I think of this, I just want to throw some positivity out there before I get into the negative aspect of this. Randy Orton is a shitty actor. Number one, I didn't believe him at all. Even though I knew this was all fake, I kind of knew just by the way he came out and started talking that this wasn't real. But I do appreciate the fact that they wanted to get one over on the fans. This is an old school tactic, and I'm not surprised that Randy Orton used this. And I appreciate the effort to try and build an injury that happened at a house show and then kind of continue the storyline going on into the next live television tape. In this case, Monday Night Raw. I do appreciate that. What I don't understand is the stupidity of this fucking angle, this ruse, this troll job, this fake injury. So you mean to tell me that Randy Orton faked an injury? An injury at a house show with AJ Styles. He faked an injury at a house show in a match with AJ Styles, all for the simple notion of sneak attacking AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw. That's all it was for. Randy Orton faked an injury in a match with AJ Styles, all for a sneak attack on AJ Styles on Monday Night Raw. Now, if Randy Orton wanted to fake an injury, why couldn't he fake the injury in the match that he had with AJ Styles instead of waiting all this time to sneak attack AJ Styles in a non-match on Monday Night Raw? I don't understand the logic at all in this situation. Now, I would have enjoyed it if they actually played up the fucking aspect that he was really hurt and they let this thing go for a couple of weeks, but in typical WWE fashion, they blew all of their load on whatever they were trying to come up with here in this segment. That's all it was. It was a complete waste of time. It was only done to get the fans talking about Randy Orton and have everybody tune in to see what he was going to say. It was a bait and switch situation. Randy Orton was never hurt. And at the end of this, when we seen all this go down, it didn't make any sense either. It was entertaining. People bought into it. I know there are some people out there that bought into it, but I don't get the point. Unless you were planning to have him remain hurt for a couple of weeks, what was the fucking point of this being blown up right here on this show? It made absolutely no sense. Let me go over that again. Randy Orton faked an injury in a match with AJ Styles, all for the sake of attacking AJ Styles in a non-segment, in a non-match segment on Monday Night Raw, when he had AJ Styles in a match in which he could have done the same thing. At the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense. Andrade versus a guy that we don't have a name for. This went to a no contest because he wanted to do to this jobber like he did to Humberto and DDT him on the exposed concrete. So out comes Ricochet, the savior of jobbers on Monday Night Raw. He's no superhero, or maybe he is. His job is to save jobbers on Monday Night Raw. So we get Andrade versus Ricochet, and I'm asking myself why this match even happened, why this match even took place on this show, to be perfectly fair. Why put Ricochet in this situation? Why? Like, he needs a win. Why not build up Ricochet like you're building up McIntyre, like you're building up Andrade, like you're building up Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy? Why is Ricochet the odd man out here? Doesn't he deserve some shine on this show? Isn't he one of your future pieces in this entire company? Why is he getting the short end of the stick? Why are you putting him in a match here against Andrade just made out of thin air? I don't get it. I really don't. This one went 11 minutes. Andrade gave Ricochet a hammerlock DDT for the win after Zelina Vega shoved Ricochet off the top rope. And that was it. So not only does Zelina Vega help him win another match, but Ricochet, in yet another match, another week goes by, Ricochet looks like a loser. Ricochet looks like a complete fucking loser. Now, I think these two could put on a fantastic main event level match if given the proper circumstances with a proper build for the United States Championship. But you're not doing Ricochet any favors here by putting him in this situation. This was not a good situation for him to be in. It's either Andrade loses, and by the way, why is Andrade fighting jobbers after just beating Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship? Are we back to doing this now? I would have rather him stay off the show and get to next week, which, by the way, they announced Andrade versus Rey Mysterio in a rematch for the United States Championship. I guess the rematch clauses are back. I guess they're not as antiquated as we were once told. No reason. No reason why Rey Mysterio is getting another title match when he should be realistically in the back of the line. This was either Andrade losing and losing his champion or Ricochet losing. And somebody needed to lose. In this case, it was Ricochet. I got a better fucking suggestion for you. How about not make the match at all? How about you just have Andrade DDT this fucking bum on the concrete, have Ricochet come out and save the day. And then we get the Andrade Rey Mysterio match next week. Did we really need 11 minutes here? And a Ricochet loss? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Guys, I can't even go over this shit. I really can't. I really can't. I can't go over this fucking wedding. I refuse to. I'm going to skip to the part that has got everybody talking. Lana and Lashley, they exchanged their vows. Botches were made. Lashley and Lana started making out right at the altar. Lashley was wearing some fucking concealer or makeup of sorts. When Lana went to go kiss Lashley, her face was all brown with whatever he had on his face. So much so that Kevin Dunn had to alter the camera angles so that they didn't shoot Lana's face because it was that bad. It was that bad. So they shot from underneath, they shot from the back, and then Bobby Lashley, throughout this entire segment, looking at her with fucking makeup smeared all over her face, which looked ridiculous, started doing this and started cleaning it off herself. She kept wiping her face. It was downright embarrassing. It was downright embarrassing. So we get this guy coming out after the minister says, if there's anyone that would object to these two being married, we get that whole spiel, and we get this guy come out and say that he and Lana got married the day he turned 18. But then she left him for that son of a bitch Rusev. Lana said that he's still in love with her. We didn't get a name with this guy. And told him to go away. Now, the first husband told Bobby that she's going to do the same thing to him because that's what she does. Lashley then had enough of this guy, gave him a chokeslam. He knocked over the potted plants that were in the ring on the stage. Then we got the minister once again saying, if anyone objects, speak now or forever hold your peace. And then no one came out. He yelled, hallelujah. And as he was about to announce them as a married couple, a woman then came out screaming, no, no, no. The minister says, who are you now? She said that she was Lashley's first wife. Lana was getting all upset. You never told me. Are you freaking kidding me? Says Lana. The woman said that they met. Her and Lashley met when she was in the military, and it was so beautiful. Lana knocked her off the ring apron, slapped her right across the fucking face, knocked her off the ring apron. For the last time, the minister said, if there's a man or woman who can just show, or who can just show just cause, please make it just cause why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony. Speak now or forever. And I do mean forever. Hold your peace. Out walked Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan came out and said she wouldn't have made it through the year without their love. She said she came to the WWE as a lost soul, a wild child ending her teen years just hoping her dreams come true. She said she never knew she could be herself until they met and fell in love with each other. She asked how they could do that to her. Lashley said he's never touched that woman in his entire life. He said he doesn't know what she's talking about. She said, I'm not talking about Bobby. I'm talking about Lana. Lana began just looking very confused at this situation. Fans are chanting yes. Lana walked over to Liv and slapped her, started to rumble on the mat. They were rolling around. Lana beat her up on the floor until Fit Finlay and other officials and producers came out and tried to pull these women off of each other. Lana re-entered the ring and was about to pronounce them as the minister was about to announce them as husband and wife. And then out of this giant cake that was legitimately a fucking real cake, out comes Rusev, who was in this thing for the entire fucking segment. He comes out, he attacked Lashley, threw him around, gave him a Machka kick. Liv returned to the ring and threw Lana down to the mat again. Liv and Rusev celebrated as the show went off the air. That was it. I don't know what else you want me to say on top of what I've already fucking ranted about in the beginning of this video, and I've gone on way too long for this Monday Night Raw review. Longer than I wanted. This show was one of the worst shows of the entire year because of the last half an hour that we've seen on this show. Easily the worst segment of 2019, one of the worst segments of the entire decade on Monday Night Raw, and easily could possibly be one of the worst segments, if not the worst segment in the history of this show. Awful. Everybody was excited about Liv Morgan. I didn't expect them to do much with Liv Morgan, but the fact that they have now altered her character to be a lesbian who is in love with Lana is downright deplorable. It's fucking deplorable. It really is. This is not what I expected. It's not what I want out of a wrestling program. This is not even pro wrestling storyline. This is trashy for the sake of being trashy. And this, in my eyes, if you look at what this really is, this is WWE trying to garner ratings through trashy means to get publicity, to get people talking about this through whatever the fuck they're thinking of, outside of what we should be getting with pro wrestling. They can't do anything to garner interest as far as the true core talent of this show, that they have to resort to trashy garbage to garner some interest and some ratings and some views, some clickbait All for the YouTube views and the fucking social media reaction. That's all they care about. And if that's their mentality, then I hope at the end of the fucking week, their stock prices fucking plummet. I hope their ratings fucking plummet, which should be a fucking absolute disaster anyway with the 49ers and Seahawks playing tonight. I mean, who could sit here and justify this garbage? Please, please, stop supporting garbage. Stop supporting blatant fucking garbage. I'm getting out of here. Hashtag garbage if you made it to the end of the review. I'm getting out of here. Off the Script Elite tomorrow afternoon. Make sure you guys go and check that out. And follow me on social media, man. At JD from NY206. I'm getting out of here because my allergies are fucking killing me. This show made me fucking physically ill tonight. And I'm done. I'll see you guys on OTS Elite. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for Dynamite. And the rest of the week with all your WWE and AEW content. I'll see you guys then.